AITA for not being overly excited that my SIL is pregnant. I am not the original poster. That is you, screen pretend 7504. She posted in r, am I the asshole? Trigger warning. Miscarriage. Verbal abuse. Less than. Mood spoiler. Tentatively hopeful? But not everything is resolved. Less than. Original post. March 1st, 2023. Sorry this is a long one but I need some opinions outside of my family. So I, 23F, and my husband, 23 meters, got married in November. We are both happy and live in the house we bought before we got married. We are not currently trying to have a baby but we aren't necessarily opposed to getting pregnant. We have been talking about it for about a year and we both agree that we don't want to wait a super long time to start trying. Last month I had felt off and had super bad morning sickness. So I decided to take a pregnancy test and it was positive. I was super excited and so was my husband. I made a doctor appointment and when I got the blood work back, it was determined that I had a chemical pregnancy. Editor's note. A chemical pregnancy is a very early miscarriage that happens within the first 5 weeks of pregnancy. I had gotten myself so worked up that I was heartbroken. We decided not to tell our families because my mother is the kind of person that thinks you should be married for at least a year before trying to have kids. So I really didn't want to get into it. A few weeks later, we had to go to the bank to get my mom's name off my bank account. It's been that way since I was 17. And put my husband's name on it. My mom offered to pick us up since she would be driving past our house to get to the bank. We agreed and didn't think anything of it. On the car ride there, my mom started talking about our finances. She said that we spend too much money and need to start budgeting. She says this pretty much every time we see her but this time she was getting onto my husband, saying that he needs to do a better job at supporting me and suggesting that he get a second job. Side note, he just had started a new job after being let go from a job where he made $26 per hour for reasons that were not his fault. I decided that I was not going to put up with this and it soon turned into a screaming match between me and my mom. Once it calmed down, she said, I know about you OBGYN appointment. I hope you aren't pregnant. I immediately burst into tears and said, I was but now I am not. His response was good. It breaks my heart to think of you having a baby right now. You are too immature and not financially stable enough. The rest of the car ride was silent. Now, this past weekend, my brother, 25 meters, and his wife, 24F, who have been married for almost 3 years, announced their pregnancy and my mom was beyond excited. She was screaming, jumping up and down saying, my first grandbaby. Quote, I acted the best I could and hugged them both and congratulated them. I excused myself to the bathroom when everyone was talking. No one was paying attention to me so I didn't think anything of it. I collected myself and went back to join the party. Everyone was still excited and happy. I assumed everything was fine. The next day, my mom calls me and proceeded to say how rude I was and that I made everyone uncomfortable and therefore stealing their spotlight. I didn't even know what to say so I just said I am sorry and hung up. I haven't said anything to anyone since but my mom is still texting me demanding I apologize to my brother and SIL. So am I the a-hole? Edit. My husband was at the announcement. According to him, no one even turned around to see I wasn't there. They were all talking to each other. My mom is the only one who noticed so there's that. Relevant comments. How did your mom know? She knew because she was stalking my bank account and saw the payment to the DR's office. Why does she have access to that? It started as a student account when I was 17 and we just changed it. I wanted to change it sooner but I was living at home and basically walking on eggshells. So now she has zero access. Your mom sucks. Has she always treated you this poorly? Not always. It was mostly my dad, but he stays out of stuff like this. I think it probably has something to do with the fact that her last child moved out, so now she's alone with my dad and can't control anyone else. More context on OOP's family. It's definitely a generational thing, but mainly in a don't bother people your problems. No one cares way. My grandparents are amazing, but my whole family is super religious. And I am not. So they have always favored my brother over me. Usually I just get a, why can't you be like SIL and my brother, and I just ignore it and walk away. But I think this hurt extra because I know my mom will never be that excited for me. Cut her off. I don't think no contact is going to happen anytime soon, but definitely LC. And that's been something that I've been thinking about a lot. Right now, I am still trying to process everything. She wasn't always like this, and I am praying that over time everything will calm down. My husband thinks that she's just upset because he last child, or baby, if you will, is leaving her. But at the same time, I have always been the sibling that no one really pays attention to. My brother has always been the favorite, and not just with my mom. That's something I can live with. It doesn't bother me. It just throwing me off with how she's been acting since I got engaged and married. OOP is voted NTA. Update post. January 30th, 2024. Almost 11 months later. After everything happened, I decided to take a step back and stop talking to my family unless it was in a large group gathering like Christmas or something. I really think that helped greatly. I got all of my financial information figured out and made sure I had her taken off of everything. The space was very beneficial, and I think it helped me grow a backbone. Fast forward. I found out that I was expecting our rainbow baby back in September, and my husband and I were over the moon. It was definitely hard at first, but we couldn't be more excited. We decided that we were going to keep everything a secret for a little while to figure out how to tell everyone. That worked out well because about a month later my nephew was born. So that helped get an idea about my mom's attitude and emotions. It seemed like something had changed. She still made a few comments here and there, but it was nothing too bad. Later me and my husband talked and decided that we would tell everyone at Thanksgiving. That way, if anyone had anything negative to say, everyone would hear it. So we came up with cute was to tell both of our families. I had made a onesie that said, "The turkey is not the only thing in the oven," and held it up during the family picture so when you looked at the picture you could see it. Surprisingly, everyone was excited, including my mother. She instantly started crying and gave me and my husband huge hugs. It was a huge relief since I had been stressed out about it since I found out. But of course I stayed skeptical since she was in front of the whole family. But to my surprise, she called me the next day telling me that she is so happy for us and asking how I am feeling and how far along I am, and telling me that if we ever need anything to call her. Which to me is something I've never heard. Going forward I continued to keep my distance. But I still talked to her when she called. Which she called a lot. She called me every few days asking how I am feeling since she knew I was having a hard time eating. Because of morning sickness. More like all-day sickness. That really meant a lot to me. And she still does that. I am now 22 weeks pregnant with our baby girl and finally feeling better. We painted the nursery this weekend and she was over the moon when I asked if she wanted to help. And she has already offered to watch our dog and cats when the baby comes so that my husband and I can have some time to bond with her. I will continue to place boundaries, but it's nice to have a mom that actually makes sure I am okay and offers help. Thank you everyone for the support, and I can't wait to meet our baby girl. Relevant comment. Did your mother ever apologize? No. But I honestly don't even want to bring it up. Please remember the no brigading rule. Do not comment on the original posts and do not message the op. I don't normally advocate for NC, but OOP should definitely keep LC for a while longer. If one of my parents treated me like this after a loss and didn't even apologize, I'm not sure how much of an olive branch I'd be willing to offer. Struggled with the mood spoiler and the tag on this one. On the one hand, way to go OOP for working on setting boundaries and for having your eyes open to your mom's behavior. On the other hand, I'm worried the mom's behavior will escalate or relapse once the baby is born. Hopefully I'm wrong and this is concluded. Something tells me that the bomb will go off when OOP chooses not to have her mother in the delivery room. If I were her, I would remain on alert. Goddamn. Married and pregnant and bought a house before 24 years old? Does OOP live in 1970 or something? Tears of joy. I'm not normally an advocate for violence, but I wouldn't be upset if someone accidentally drop-kicked that mother off a cliff. It's good to see OP setting boundaries and all, but at the same time, OP's mother is just awful and the comment she made is just so wrong. I do think OP should go LC or NC cause I feel like the mother's behavior might get worse. God. To have the thought processes that would make a mother say what she said to her daughter is terrifying. To have the audacity to scold a grown-up couple about their private finances and then say what she said about her daughter's miscarriage? What a miserable, awful, horrible woman. Poor OP. I'm confused. I thought a rainbow baby was if you have very small odds of getting pregnant. OP had one miscarriage in this story, which isn't uncommon at all in early pregnancy. Or do I not understand that terminology? I have a mother just like hers, always finding the negative in my achievements and putting me down. I did what OOP did and let her in while pregnant and postpartum. Talked regularly and often about everything. It wasn't until my first was 8 months old. She betrayed my trust and broke my heart more than I could ever imagine. Being a new mom at the time, it hurt even more because looking at my son, all I could do was ask myself, who would ever do this to their child? I haven't seen her in person since. With moms like these, who needs enemies? Waiting for the update on this when OOP's mom hurts her all over again. You don't get morning sickness with a chemical pregnancy and you find out about it when your period shows up just after you test plus VA. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I hope I'm wrong and grandma is truly loving. She's getting love bombed. Her mother noticed her pulling away and now there's a grandchild at stake. Sometimes people just don't think before they speak. And they really should. My husband went to visit his dad last week. I was 34 weeks pregnant. Within an hour of picking him up at the airport, his dad asked him what possessed us to have a baby when we don't have any money. I just lost it laughing when I heard this. First, we did have money when baby was conceived. We were not anticipating having our car broken into and instantly being out $2,000. Second, it's a little late to ask that now. And third, which is what my husband told his dad, if we waited until we were as well off as our parents before having kids, we wouldn't get to have any. We're going into our 30s. It's really now or never. Dad apologized the next day though, where this mom seems unapologetically awful. Yeah, I don't trust the mom for a second. Someone that says it's good you lost a baby you wanted to keep is not someone I'd want around kids. The time frame between that total shift in personality is way too small. The mother probably thinks she has a new replacement baby from OOP. Hope this doesn't take a heartbreaking turn and the mother does a 180 back to horrible. Such a horrible mother. What does the phrase, rainbow baby, cover here? I'm used to it being used to denote children made in homosexual relationships. But that is clearly not the case here. Cut the cord. She's too involved in your life and your marriage. She makes a comment. Just stare at her. No response. She criticizes you. Stare and raise an eyebrow. If all else fails, just stare at her. Raise the eyebrow and very quietly and slowly say, "Not your business," then walk away. Don't engage. She's rude. No response. She asks inappropriate questions. Stare and eyebrow. She wants the drama, the argument. Why give it to her? I perfected the stare and eyebrow thing. Trust me, it works. I just did not engage. Not one word. It will drive her crazy. And don't apologize because she said they were upset. You are entitled to your feelings, and how you handle them is not her business. By today's standards, you married young and she feels she needs to help you along. Don't let her eyeball her to death. Oops, mother is a real piece of work. 1000-to-1 deal is not letting mom have control over her child. So mom is banking on her own desperate for affection daughter willing to let mom take over with her baby.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AITA is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.